Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Before we go through the issue relating to the property financing of BBA in Malaysia, we must know about the process of BBA in Malaysia. We must know how does BBA in Malaysia works to find out whether it's complies with the real BBA. Before all the application about BBA we apply in Malaysia, we must analyze first the modus operandi of the BBA. There are ways that BBA is used by an Islamic bank. At the first point, the customer will apply to the bank using the BBA to purchase a commodity, usually a house, without having a specify where the asset can be purchased. Following that, the bank will acquire the commodity depending on the information provided by the consumer. The bank has the option to purchasing the commodity from any seller or development. Following that, the bank will sell the stated commodity to the customer at cost plus a profit margin. As we can see in the slide, the customer will describe the purchase commodity, including the price, location and the names of the supplier, manufacturer or developer. After that, the bank will purchase the requested merchandise. A deferred payment sale is a contract that refers to the sale and purchase of an asset on a deferred payment basis with a pre-agreed payment period. A profit margin will be included in the sale price. And then at the third point, when a bank appoints a client as its agent to assist the purchase of goods, commodities on its behalf, the bank will issue the customer a check for the amount of the commodity to be purchased, allowing him to purchase the commodity as per the bank's instruction. The customer will then result the product to himself. Instead of the process of BBA in Malaysia, I will explain to you the practice of BBA house financing in Malaysia. At the first point, the bank bought the asset from the developer which the customer had already purchased. As a result, the transaction is limited to the customer and the bank. And the second point, the bank then determines the customer's requirement in terms of payment period and method. And then the bank then sells the relevant asset to the customer at a negotiated price that includes the bank actual cost of the asset plus a margin of profit, and allows the customer to make payments over a specific period and in the way agreed. And after that, to reflect the buying and selling transaction, financing documentation must be developed and executed. In this practice, we use two financing agreements that are important for this process. The first agreement is the property purchase agreement, and then called as PPA. This is an agreement between the bank and the customer that is exempt from stamp duty. The bank buys the house from the customer under this property purchase agreement for a price that is equal to the outstanding amount paid to the dealer to a price approved by the bank for the customer. And after that, the second agreement is the property sale agreement, which is PPA. This is an agreement between the bank and the customer that is subject to ad valorem stamp duty. Under the terms of this property sale agreement, the bank would resell the same property to the customer at the PSA's equal price. And then we can move on to the issue relating to BBA property financing in Malaysia. In Malaysia, there are various legal issues through the use of BBA property financing. The following are some of the issue. The first point is the practice BBA property financing in Malaysia as a real sale of a loan. There are three theoretical BBA includes the three parties, which is the financier, the developer and the customer. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, with the two consecutive sales between the same two parties and using the same assets. This could result in a problematic cash transaction. About the property purchase agreement, PPA, and the property sale agreement, PSA, are exclusively used in BBA transaction as a device. Both PPA and PSA agreement appear to be legal device that serve proof as proof that the act of buying, selling is taking place as required by Sharia. These two agreements mainly serve to hide the bank's role as an intermediary, namely a financier rather than a seller. And then about the those critic about the BBA merger argument about the prohibition of taking an interest. Given this, it can be linked to by al-inah in Islamic law, which raised the first of Islamic law compliant issue in Malaysia sale-based finance structure. In a nutshell, the majority's position on the by al-inah issue is that the sale is null and invalid since it is a form of usury and allows what is already forbidden. And then some Malaysian scholars preferred Shafi'i points of the view of the subject.
What is the Bai' Bisamani Ajil? BBA is a scheme used by banks to buy goods for cash and sell them for more in installment or for a certain period. The profits earned in this scheme, which is owned by the bank, are an alternative to leverage loans. Sale and purchase based on the Al-Bai' Wisam and Ajil scheme is the exchange of property with property to earn a gift to the buyer. Ajil is the period fixed to settle the debt and others. The installment, or in its Arabic language known as the Al-Taqsi, is the division of the debt into certain parts, which are performed within certain periods. When called off for purchase by installment, it means that a person purchases goods at a lateral price by paying them several times regularly within a known period. The scheme is heavily implemented by banks in Malaysia, and among them are Islamic Bank and RHB Bank, which offer this scheme for home and car purchases for customers meeting the conditions set by the bank. The application by Bisaman Ajil in Malaysia. In Malaysia, BBA contracts or sales at different prices are practiced in home ownership financing. In short, Islamic housing financing products in the country include the financing of completed houses and the financing of houses under construction. This contract is a contract between three parties, namely the supplier, bank, and the end user. The concept of BBA is the same as Murabaha, except for those different aspects of the financing period are longer than repayment period of BBA. BBA is an advanced and competitive instrument in Islamic banking, as well as the alternative to the usury system in conventional transaction.
The application of Bai' Bitaman Ajil (BBA) based on Property Financing Act Maybank Islamic. Nowadays, Islamic banking has shown immense progress and development in Asian country. One of the main part of the Islamic banking funding section is rent purchase funding. The two most used Islamic finance merchandise in Malaysia, first Al-Ijara Summa Al-Bai in Maybank Berhad, and second vehicle financing Bai' Bitaman Ajil in Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. This method can target service quality offered by each bank in relation with a client satisfaction and client loyalty. Islamic bank in Asian nation face plenty in difficult environment. They have to be able to adapt and assimilate in quick ever-changing scenario. Economic progress that technological advancement have like imitated due to an open associate degree integrated banking system. This example has created awfully stiff competition in marketplace. Islamic banking is distinct from typical banking due to the Islamic principle, conjointly not as jurisprudence, government, political, economy, social, political, and culture aspect of Islamic society. In reality, the implementation of BBA contract is more and more criticism, which numerous problems are raised from the usage of this contract. Discussion and debate on this problem are proposed persistently at conference or at the seminar, and it had been even enclosed and written in books. Analysis of BBA contract. This case was additionally difficult by associate degree increase in case associated with Islamic finance. But in Maybank, they have 3 methods that will give to you for choose before you decide that up to Islamic property financing. And first is buy bitaman ajil, which is buy and sell with a different payment. Second is musyarakah mutanakisah, which is diminishing partnership. And third is commodity of murabaha. So conclusion is, based on what we seem to now, it will be finished that BBA as a mode of finance, although being allowed by Sharia student, is of a questionable validity because of the procedure and mechanism enforced in Malaysian Islamic bank. Nowadays, Muslim bank are operated in very globally integrated industry that is characterized by steady competition and fast change in technology. Since the automotive vehicle finance provided by Muslim bank area unique, typically undifferentiated with standard bank, Islamic bank can got to contend on the idea of high quality and adaptability of product and procedure offered by its finance worker to its customer in order to achieve that competitive advantage against their rival. Among the foremost important legal effect that has to extremely by appreciate at a unit the transfer of possession and the rule of getting. The sensibility application of buy bitaman ajil funding in Malaya as well as in another country has been extensively mentioned during this chapter. It is rightly submit that the term of buy bitaman ajil as employed in Malaysia is totally different from term in other country. Thank you.